New Wave Podcast, Nash 412. We got Greenwood Property Solutions in here. What's up, fellas?
What's going on, man? How you?
Steve and Chris, what's up, man? We about to talk real estate today.
Yeah, we're going to drop a couple jewels.
First off, tell us about Greenwood Property Solutions. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, we originally got the name Greenwood. It comes from a city in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You guys probably are not familiar with it, but it was known as Black Wall Street before it was bombed.
Oh, no, I'm familiar, yeah.
Okay, you familiar with that? A lot of people, it goes over their head when we say Greenwood, but it's a city in Tulsa, Oklahoma that got bombed, formerly known as Black Wall Street. So we're trying to bring that back to Pittsburgh, bring back the wealth, bring back the money in the community, and just bring everyone together and, kind of be on the same page.
Okay, so how many people are in Greenwood Property Solutions?
Right now, there's 4 of us.
4 of us, okay. How long you guys been in real estate?
Altogether, complete.
You two?
Just us two, about 3 years.
3 years?
3 years.
Okay. First off, so Greenwood Property Solutions, what made you want to start that? What made you want to get into real estate for real?
What made me want to get into real estate was because I kind of got burnt out. I got burnt out of the kitchen life. I was working a 9 to 5. I got tired of cooking in the kitchens. Dealing with those type of people, it's like you're not going to get nowhere in life just doing the same thing over and over and over again. I wanted to switch up the speed and start making some real money.
First off, Pittsburgh, doing real estate here, what's the market like?
The market is strong right now because there's a lot of gentrification going on. So there's a lot of investors coming from out of town that want to buy up the areas because in the Pittsburgh market, the houses are still relatively cheap. And, like in other states, you could go somewhere and spend $100,000 and get a small house. But if you come to Pittsburgh with $100,000, you'll get like 5 properties, get them rented out, and start getting a good cash flow.
Okay, so, and you were saying about Greenwood Property Solutions, you guys specialize more so in wholesale.
Correct. We specialize in wholesale. So this business is basically strictly wholesale.
So what's the difference between wholesale and retail?
The difference between wholesale and retail is, wholesale is quick money. Retail could be quick, but wholesale is we go out, we find properties, when we find people in need of help. So we basically offer them a solution to get rid of their properties and get rid of their problems, and we offer them cash for their properties.
Okay.
And in return, we buy it, and we go back and sell it instantly.
Sorry, and retail is more so spending a little bit more time with it, investing money into it.
Yeah, a little bit more time, a little bit more money, a lot more rules, more technicalities, and, it usually involves an agent, a couple lawyers, and it's a longer process to, sell retail because there's a lot of higher standards in retail.
Okay. So with Greenwood Property Solutions, do you guys have a special target demographic to sell to, or?
Not necessarily, not a target to sell to. We don't specifically target, people, but we just find people that have problems. And usually they find us. Usually it's through Instagram, Craigslist, Facebook, the newspaper. We have ads everywhere. You probably seen a couple of our signs around, those We Buy Houses signs. A lot of people, they see them and they're like, oh man, I need to sell my house fast. So they'll give us a call. We'll come out and give them a quote and tell them what we'll be willing to pay for their property based off the condition.
Okay. You guys follow the real estate market, How consistently does it change for real? For the person who does not know nothing about real estate, is it constantly fluctuating, I guess, with the areas and prices of homes or anything, or?
Usually 3% a year, so it's not a drastic change each year, but it usually appreciates or depreciates 3% each year. So it's kind of not something that's going to change overnight, but you kind of get a trend. You kind of follow the trend in the neighborhood, in the area, in the city, and you just kind of go based off of that.
Okay, so if someone comes to you guys hey, I'm trying to buy a home or an apartment, first off, do you guys do it all?
We do it all. We buy and sell. We rent properties. We flip them, and our specialty, like we said before, is wholesale.
Okay, so if I want to buy a home, if I contact you, was there anybody else I need to contact, or in terms of attorneys or this and that, or you got that
Yeah,
covered,
we got all that. We you would reach out to us, and we would figure out exactly what you want. Whether it's a small home or you're looking for a mansion. Because, some people, they want to live lavish, but then some people are like, all right, just give me somewhere to stay. And I got about $10,000, $15,000 cash, and I want to move. I don't want to keep paying rent. And so from there, they'll come talk to us. They'll give Chris a call. They'll give me a call, or they'll give Micah a call, and we'll find out exactly what they need. So once we find out what you need, then that's where we go from there, and we start, matching up houses to your preference.
Okay, so with your you guys' business, I've been seeing y'all like on Instagram, you know what I'm saying, putting up a lot of photos of houses that y'all moving and whatnot. A first home buyer, whatnot. Why should someone come to you guys to be like, hey, I need you guys to like sell me a home or put me in the right direction, or what would you say? Like,
okay, some of the benefits of us are we'll walk you through the process. We don't let our clients go out and just buy anything. We want all of our clients to be in an equity position, so if they buy a property, it makes sense. So, they'll buy it in a halfway decent neighborhood for below market value, so they could have instant equity. And once they get the equity, they could go out, refinance. And it's like you're basically paying yourself to live, because if you pull the equity out the house, you could get cash.
Why is instant equity so important?
Instant equity is important because there's people that, pay way above market value for houses that aren't really worth it, and they'll never have equity because the property costs so much and they owe so much. But if you're in an instant equity position, you could go buy a house tomorrow for $100,000 and it's worth $150,000. You could pull that extra $50,000 out in equity, and you could use that money to go reinvest back into the community or into another house, and you could buy investment property.
Yeah. So instant equity, is that more so a responsibility on, like, if I'm the one buying the home and you're getting the home from me, is that more on you to give me instant equity, or on me, or?
It would be more on us, because a lot of first-time homeowners, they don't even know what equity is. They just want a house. They just want a roof over their head so they could have somewhere to live. And so, that's one of the benefits of dealing with investors, and we're investors. So we want the best for everyone. We want everyone to make money. We want our buyers to be happy. We want the sellers to, to get the money that they're looking for. And we don't pay, bottom dollar. We pay a fair, reasonable price.
So, like, I guess another question for, like, a first home buyer. What's one of the biggest misconceptions from, like, our end?
Okay, from a first-time home buyer, a lot of people, they just look at what's pretty. That's what they're looking for. They're like, oh, that's a nice looking house, but what are the mechanics of the house? How old is the furnace? How old is the the water tank? Am I going to come into the house and it has knob and tube wiring?
Foundation.
Foundation. Like, you got to have inspections. You got to go in there, get an inspection on a property, so then that way you get a complete view of field of what's going on, and you know where your money's going, and you won't be going into a cash cow or a cash hole, and that's like just something where you just keep throwing money in because it looks nice, but there's really no value in it because you're putting all your extra money into the property to get it perfect.
Right.
And, you don't want to be in that position when you're buying your first house. When you buy your first house, whether it's a investment property or it's your primary residence, you kind of want it to be already together. And that's like the best advice I give to people purchasing homes. We just sold a house, what was it, last week, Chris, in East Pittsburgh for $42,000.
Yeah.
And the house was almost move-in ready. And, the guy, he was a first-time home buyer. He had so many questions, and, we just made him feel confident about the transaction. So now that he's able to, live freely and happily.
So for like a first-time home buyer, you said it needs to be up to inspection, so I don't have to invest that much on myself. So another thing, is that on you? Get in contact with you guys to find like that inspector to make sure everything's up to par? Or is that more so on me? Like,
that would be, it's really on the seller, but we take initiative and we put these people in the place. Like, we're like, here, we got an inspector for you, and he'll come through, he'll tell you everything that's wrong with the property, and email it like a day or two later, he'll send over an inspection report, and from there you're able to go over the inspection report, like, okay, this property is not in that bad condition and doesn't need that much money. And from there, we give you the option. You can move forward if you're still in the inspection period, which is usually 7 days. We give people like a 7-day time period to do inspections and, just to see if there's anything majorly wrong with the property. That's how we know people are serious, because you don't want to give someone like 30 days, 45 days inspection period, because then
too long.
Yeah, it ties up their money for too long, ties up your time, and in the same time, we could be selling our property instead of having it tied up. So we do like a 7 to 10 day period. And if they like everything on the inspection report, then we move forward. Then it's time to, do more due diligence, see if there's any taxes owed on the property, see if there's any major judgments, any unpaid water bills. Because, we want our properties to be free and clear when we sell them. We don't want like no one to come back to us like, oh my God, I found out that there was a $10,000 water bill, there's a $40,000 mortgage from 1956, because it happens. But at the same time, we have something to protect the seller, well, actually the buyers against something like that, and it's called title insurance.
What's some of the biggest things from a home buyer or someone who's trying to get a place to avoid, like from y'all, and like, don't, if this is the situation, you don't want it, or you want to stay far from that? Like, what's some of the biggest things to avoid?
Some of the biggest things to avoid will be foundation issue. If there's a foundation issue, that could cost you upward of $100,000 to fix. And, you know, a lot of properties aren't really worth doing that unless you're in a really nice neighborhood. The sewer line, you always got to do a sewer line inspection. That's the most important thing, because, you know, looking at a house, you can see everything visually. You can see the roof, you can see the walls, but you can't see the sewer line. And if the sewer line is broke, it's going to cost at least $10,000 to fix. And that's just starting out. Like, plumbers, they'll come out and they go off the square footage. Like, yeah, we'll charge you $500 a square foot. That's just a number I'm throwing out there. But it's a lot of work because it involves digging up the street. You got to dig up the house. It's a lot of work. So always get a sewer line inspection. It costs in between $99 and $250. And we could always recommend a company that would do it for you.
Okay, so we've got a sewer line inspection. What other inspections are required, or?
Well, they're not necessarily required.
Or should we get?
Should we get? Okay.
Yeah.
Like a smart investor will get the sewer line inspection, and they'll just get like a structural inspection. And that's just like a checklist of everything. Sometimes they'll come in, check the electrical sockets, check the age of the furnace, check to see if all the wiring is up to code. And, you know, but a lot of the properties that we sell, if we know they need work, then we'll reduce the sale price by the work that's needed in the properties. So say we know the roof needs replaced, but it's a nice house. We'll reduce the sale price by $10,000. It's basically like a credit. So like instead of, you know, putting the money up, we'll take it away from the sale price, so you'll have money to invest back into the property.
Right. Okay. What's some of the most expensive things to get your house to standard to when you're buying a home? Like if this is fucked up, this is going to cost you a big amount of money. Like what's some of the biggest, most expensive things?
The roof.
The roof?
Yeah, the roof. Depending on your square footage, and you know, the roof is like the most important thing in a house because it keeps you safe. It protects you from the weather, and you know, everybody wants a solid roof over their head. A roof would be at least $7,000. So you want to have that roof. You want to have your roof right.
Okay. Let's touch on some areas in Pittsburgh. Like, what's some areas y'all dealt with in terms of like flipping homes, selling homes, and whatnot?
Well, we started out like on the east side of Pittsburgh because, you know, it's booming right now. Like East Liberty is not what it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. When I was growing up there, Homewood is up and coming. So we try to focus on houses like that. And, you know, us being from the community, we're able to, you know, reach out to people in the community. And it kind of gives us advantage opposed to other bigger companies that come in. They're like, yeah, man, we'll give you this, say, $20,000 for your house right now. Pick it up, take everything you got, and leave. We're actually coming into the properties, you know, talking to the people. We can relate to the people because more than likely we know their family members. We know one of their kids. They know one of my uncles. So it's like us being from the community gives us a big heads up. And we just like we love the east side of Pittsburgh. So we want to flip over there.
You know what I'm saying? You drove through these neighborhoods all your life. You're a little bit more aware of the demographic and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? How important is the negotiation process, like, in this whole thing with me, like, buying a house?
It's everything. Yeah. We want the property for a fair price, you know, but we also at the same time don't want you to walk away feeling like you've been taken advantage of. So we try to, you know, first we always figure out, we ask the seller, what do you want? And, you know, sometimes they're like, well, you know, I don't know what I want. How about you send me an offer? And from over the years, we've been studying a lot of like negotiation techniques and stuff like that. So we have tactics to get the number out of people. So like, let's say for instance, the seller is like, I don't know what I want for this property. I don't know what I want. Asking them a couple times, just like throw it in there, throw a couple jabs like a boxing match, and then they won't say nothing. So then I'll tell them. I usually, my guys know, I try to get like 5,000. 5,000 is my lucky number. So, you know, I tell someone that, you know, I'll give you 5,000 for this house right now. and a lot of times they'll be pissed. So like I kind of like switched it up, and I tell them I'll go based off of houses in the area, and I'll tell them like, you know, for a house in this condition in this area that needs this much work, I'll usually pay $23,000 for this house, and they'll say, I don't know, you know, that's not really what I'm looking for. So I'm like, well, tell me what you're looking for so we can get you exactly what you want. And then that kind of like breaks the ice and starts the negotiation right there. Because we feel like whoever says a number first is the one that loses the deal.
Lose.
Yeah, can't lose the deals.
One thing that a lot of new people always ask, like they say like, what's the number one thing I need to know or something like that. When it comes to wholesale, like the number one thing you need to know is how to do the numbers and like negotiate. If you can't do that, then you're going to
Drown.
Number one, you're not going to get the type of deals that you need for the people that's buying off of you. You know what I mean? So negotiation, numbers, all of that stuff, that's number one. Like, you know, if you want to learn it.
In terms of real estate, isn't there a database that y'all have access to that regular consumers don't? That y'all can like see, I guess, I don't know, what property values, this fluctuates. I heard there's like certain databases out there
In a way,
for real estate agents.
Yeah, it's called the multiple listing service, the MLS. So like the only way you can get access to that is if you're an actual agent, and you know it's like a real secure website. It's not like, you know, top secret, but it's a secure website that you got to be a real estate agent to use. And since we have a real estate agent in our company, that's Greenwood Black, and you know, we're able to have access to that and able to, you know, pinpoint the numbers better. And for like the numbers, when we say that, we mean like the price of the property, how much it costs, how much is it going to cost to repair. Like all those are important things when you're talking to a buyer or trying to pitch the deal to a buyer, because like that's the thing. People buy off numbers, they buy off science, and they buy off facts. You know, put something on paper in front of somebody that makes sense. And if it makes sense, they'll buy it. If it doesn't make sense, they're going to be like, get this away from me. Like a lot of serious investors, they don't really care what the property looks like. They care if it's making money. Is it cash flowing? Is it an asset or is it a liability? Is it going to make me more money than I'm putting out? So like that's basically what people are buying off of.
Is there a certain time of the year in terms of seasons where it's real estate's booming and certain times where it's harder, like winter, fall?
Spring, I see.
Yeah, I would say spring is pretty like, that's like the best time to sell, because like people are looking to buy in the summertime and they kind of want to be moved into a property before the school year starts. So like before the school year starts, that's basically, you know, buying time. And it's a little bit harder to sell a house in the winter time because people, you know, they kind of get seasonal depression. They don't want to buy in the winter time. They kind of, if they have kids, they want to be settled in. They don't like the thought of their kids changing school districts halfway through the year.
The holidays too, like people just don't be thinking about it. You know what I mean? Once Thanksgiving come around and like actually like from like end of October through December, you know what I mean? Because you got holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Kwanzaa, you know, Hanukkah, all of those holidays. People just, that's not what's on their mind, you know what I mean? Don't nobody want to move during the holidays.
No one. That's crucial. Like imagine you get a house and like the heat stop working. Like what?
If the heat stop working in the wintertime, you got a problem.
You know what I'm saying? I'm calling you, yo, Steve.
Steve, what's going on, man? Heat's out. And you know, after we sell you the property, there's really not much that we could do, but we still assist people out. Like, you know, if one of the people I sold a house to calls me a week or two later and tells me, hey, man, my furnace went out, I'm going to say, you got the inspection report, right? You got it inspected. Okay. So, you know, I'm not going to pay for it out of my pocket, but I will refer you to a guy that does furnaces. You know,
those warranties help too.
Have you guys ever had to go to like court for this or anything? Like, maybe nothing on your end, but like maybe like an inspector that you guys hired, he got sued or something. Were you guys ever having?
Oh, thank God we never had to you know, go to court over anything, and we never really get complaints either. And you know, people are usually happy because the sellers, they have a problem and they reach out to us because, you know, sometimes we deal with properties that have people have died, and we take on the properties, and they reach out to us, and we help them in a hard time, because a lot of people inherit properties from, say, their mom or their brother or their uncle died, and they're like, we don't know what to do. We don't want the property. It's just we're just paying taxes on it, and the property's getting beat up. People are breaking into it.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, give us a call. We'll come out there, take a look at it, and if it's worth something to us, we'll give you a cash offer on the spot.
Okay. What do you guys think about all the gentrification that's going on in Pittsburgh right now?
That's kind of a touchy subject, for some people, but for us, we are, we're like part of the gentrification because, a lot of people are coming in buying the neighborhoods where we grew up. So we're like, why don't we be a part of it and buy the neighborhood back where we came from?
Right.
So, instead of someone else buying the neighborhood, if everyone comes together and invests, we could buy the neighborhood, if that's the neighborhood we want.
Someone who's to get into real estate and everything, is there such thing as partnering with too few or too many people?
Yeah, I would say so, but when you first start out, I'd always start smaller, and I would do my research, do your research on the people that you're partnering with. You got to make sure that they're official, because there's a lot of people out here, acting like they're gurus, but at the same time, they're not closing no deals. They don't bring any benefits. So, if you're starting out, I advise you to start out by yourself, give it some time, and you could see the things that you're good at, see the things that you're bad at, and then as you grow, start bringing people in, and they can fill in the blanks where your weak spots are. And, like some people aren't good at marketing, and, some people aren't good at finding the deals, and then there's people that aren't good at building stuff. So you just kind of like, as you grow, you find the people that you need, and they fill in the spots where you're weak at. Okay.
And if I want to start my own real estate business or just get into flipping homes, what's all the ground I have to cover in terms of, I guess, do I have to find attorneys, mortgage lenders, or loans? Like, what's everything I have to cover so I can say, all right, now I can start?
Now you can start I'll give you the real estate wholesale side of it because that's what we focus on. If you want to start a real estate wholesale business, the first thing you want is solid contracts. And to find contracts, you got to have an attorney. And once you find an attorney, you'll have your attorney draft up an LLC, so, limited liability corporation, so you can protect yourself and separate yourself from the business. So if anything did go wrong, you wouldn't get sued personally. They couldn't come after your personal assets. They could only come after the company assets. So protection is like one of the biggest things in the real estate business because people see that you do real estate and they automatically assume that you're a millionaire and that they'll be coming after you to try to sue you for the stuff that you got. So first off, get an attorney, and then from there, you want to have the knowledge. You want general knowledge. You want to read every single book that you could get your hands on.
Let me cut you off. What's a good book?
There's a lot of books that I like. One of my favorite books is The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mm-hmm. And I read a lot of books that kind of shift my mind state. So they kind of shift the way that I'm thinking. But then once you start thinking differently, you start moving differently. And then you could really get into the real estate books like the Real Estate Wholesale Bible. There's Tony Robbins' book. He has 21 Secrets of a Proven Closer. And that was a really quick book. It's a good read. I loved it. And
okay,
I would definitely recommend anyone to read that book.
Period. Okay, so you say get your own LLC. You say get your own attorney. Any other ground that I have to cover to start?
You get your contracts. Contracts are important because, that's like protection right there. And protect your assets. What would you say, Chris? Anything else that they need to get started?
I would just say never stop learning. Always one of the things I like about Steve and Micah, man, they eat, sleep, and breathe this. You know what I mean? And once Steve has been in it the longest. I started a year ago, and ever since I started, I just wanted to learn more and more about it. You know what I mean? So there's just a passion that you have to have for it. You know what I mean? If you want to be successful, because there's going to be days when, you ain't going to feel like doing nothing. You ain't going to feel like making no phone calls. You ain't going to feel like putting up no bandit signs. And you got to have that passion to keep you going, because if not, if you're chasing a quick check, it's not going to work. This is a longevity type of thing.
Yeah, you get burnt out real quick. You got to have it. Because me, Micah and Chris, we're not just in it for the money, because we can make money anywhere in any business as long as you know what you're doing. But we're in it to see the change, and we go outside in the community. people look up to us. The kids look up to us. Like Micah's daughter, she calls me Mr. Steve the crib flipper. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, like you can see a change in the community, and like you can see like people are like, okay, they're actually doing good to the community. They're not trying to harm the community. So like we just want everyone to grow, and we are looking for more partners. So like we're looking for people to expand our business, and we teach people. We bring them into the company. We give them all the tools that they need to actually, start their own business. And it's not like, when you come to our company that you can't go out and start your own business. But if you do come to our company, we recommend that you stay from, like 6 months with us.
Right.
And we will have you sign a non-disclosure agreement, because there is techniques that we use in our company that, we wouldn't want the competition to use against us to purchase the properties and to find the properties. And we have certain buyers, and that's where the majority of the money comes from, is the buyers, the people that you have purchasing the properties. So,
okay.
Yeah, we're looking for more partners. So if anyone's looking to get down, looking to grow, looking to learn more about real estate, get their foot in the door, you can reach out to us on Instagram, _crib flipper, and Greenwood Chris. Tell me your Instagram, Chris.
That's Greenwood __Chris, CHRIS.
Period. All right, so